Well, welcome to the first video in this series of 5. Today we're going to be reviewing the first of 5 chosen lessons from A Course in Miracles, which is a mind training course designed to help bring the mind to a state of perfect inner peace through an application of spiritual principles such as forgiveness and tolerance and patience and all of these sorts of things, and prayer and meditation. It's a non-religious participation, and we've selected these 5 videos today because of their value, their impact value in dislodging the mind from its fixed beliefs about time and space, and dislodging you from the belief that you have to participate in the world in the way in which you've been taught, which doesn't bring you any joy or any peace or any happiness. If you're like I once was, you probably believed that your lot in life was to work hard, pay taxes until the day you died, and your children the same, and their children, and so forth and so forth. But as I have come to learn, and as you will come to learn if you're dedicated enough in this endeavor, is that there is more to the idea of life than meets the eye, and definitely much more to the idea of life, the universe, and everything than you will find at a cursory glance out there in the world. So the idea that we're presenting, as I stated in the introductory video to these 5 lessons, is that the world is an illusion, a dream, which is something that is adhered to by Sufis, by Hindus, by practitioners of Zen Buddhism, and in general Buddhism across the board, Australian Aboriginals, and sadly something that in the West we don't really have a comprehension of. We tend to think that everything is solid, and because we can sense it with our 5 senses, that must mean it's what reality is. But as I have learned, and as you will learn perhaps through even doing these 5 lessons with us, is that reality has a whole different set of parameters for what it is, apart from this in its entirety, apart from the physical nature of life in its entirety. And to say that the universe is a really big place is an understatement, and to try and examine it without an experience of it, which is what we're dedicating these lessons towards, having an experience of the entirety of the universe or the oneness of life. Without that experience, it's almost impossible to comprehend, and I don't really recommend trying it. But go for it if you want to. So lesson 1 that we're going to be presenting today is nothing I see means anything. And the reason for that is because if the world, and I'm saying if, under the premise that perhaps you're not agreeing with me, if the world is indeed an illusion, if the world is indeed a fabrication, a projection of the mind, then it's only my own mind that tells me what it is that I think I'm seeing and gives it the meaning that it has. So lesson number 1, nothing I see means anything, then, is an integral lesson in the beginning of the process of dislodging myself from the, what would you call it, from the subconscious acceptance of the meaning that I think I've given everything as it is. Right? I don't question my reality. I don't question my world about what things mean and what they are. When I'm a child, perhaps we might say, well, why is life like this? Why is life like that? But as we grow up to maturity, we tend to push those sorts of things aside and just get on with it. And sadly, that innocence of questioning gets swallowed up in the busyness of making a family and producing a successful life or an interesting life and that sort of thing. So then in undoing our thought system that has brought us to this hellish perception of the world as being a place that perhaps is very unfair and demanding and fast-paced and chaotic and all of these things, wherein my peace of mind seems to be constantly jostled by what I see on the news and my thoughts about the world and everything else. In the undoing of the thought system I've used to convince myself that fear is a valuable perception, it's necessary that we begin with a few groundbreaking truths. And these are things that you will already perhaps be aware of and will already be nodding your head going, well, everything only does have the meaning that I give it. That's obviously makes sense. But to actually say those words and to hear those words is a different thing entirely. And it's the hearing of the words that the practice of the lesson is designed to bring about, to put a chink in the armor of that egoic thought system that perpetuates the fearful foundation for life that everything here is doomed to die, therefore there's no point to life and you may as well commit suicide, which unfortunately is on the rise, as everybody knows. I don't have to tell you that. And along with that, the 1 in 5 mental health issue that seems to be prevalent and widely advertised these days as the state of the nation. And in our country, Australia, we had for a country of 25 million people, we had a $220 billion mental health debt last year, which is 1/10 of our national GDP. So the necessity for an alternative way to view one's place in the world and oneself within it can't be any more apt than now, can't be any more current than, it's got to happen. So this is it. This is our attempt, and we hope you embrace it, enjoy it, share it, and at least remain open-minded to what's presented here as something that we ourselves, the three of us presenting this, have put into practice in our lives and have seen dramatic and radical changes in our relationships and in our own sense of self and own sense of inner peace within even the short space of as little as a year. Okay, so I'm going to hand you over now to Dean and Michelle, who are new students of A Course in Miracles, who are almost a year in with their workbook practices and have had quite a few revelatory and spontaneously miraculous, I don't even know how else I would term it, experiences and shifts in consciousness that is showing them in their own capacity that indeed the world is an illusion, that indeed things here aren't the way they seem to be, and that they don't have to believe in things as originally presented to them as being solid and the status quo of things. So over to you guys, I think. I don't think I have anything else to say. I hope that serves as a little introduction, and before we go, I'll be doing our second lesson tomorrow, and we'll have a similar little introduction as well. And for the other 4 lessons after today's, and I hope they're helpful.